Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Sarah Bush Lincoln Health System, dedicated to providing care for all and creating healthy communities in East Central Illinois, offering general and specialty medicine, including a regional cancer center, heart and lung center, orthopedics and sports medicine, a center for interventional pain, and a full complement of diagnostic and rehabilitative services. Sarah Bush Lincoln, trusted, compassionate care. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Heartland Highways. Now today we're here at the Shell Oil Museum near Windsor, Illinois. Now don't worry, you'll get the full tour a little later in the show, but Kate, tell us about the first story.
First, we're going to talk about a different kind of collection. We met Dave Cunningham thanks to an email from viewer Steve Mary. Dave has an interesting collection of baseball gloves, but it's more than just baseball gloves. These are vintage.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Simply root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes around the old ball game.
Have been collecting for most of my life. I started out as just a child collecting rocks and minerals, then I went into collecting coins and collecting U.S. stamps, and then I migrated into collecting ball cards. Did that for a few years, and then out of that I just decided I was going to try collecting something different, and as a result I ended up collecting the old-time vintage ball gloves.
Dave's collection includes over 100 baseball gloves and around 40 vintage softball gloves. His baseball gloves reflect the various web and glove styles from the 1880s through the 1950s. Dave has no duplicates and collects each glove for a reason.
The fielder's mitts of the softball I collect not from the web styles, but more so from the pads that are on the front and the colorations of them. I love the contrasting colors of those old-time softball gloves. So each of the gloves, though, in the collection does represent some specialty, making it unique enough to put it within the collection itself.
How Dave actually got started on his collection is a unique story all its own.
For my collection, I actually picked one up at a local garage sale. Actually 2 ball gloves. I had no idea what they were. I had no idea that they were even a ball glove. But I had bought them cheap enough that I felt like it's not a problem. I'll just go ahead and try to figure out what these old ball gloves were about. And so I got 2, and one of them turned out to be a very rare and unusual ball glove, which I found out by way of the internet. Back at that time, the internet was just starting, and I learned through a California collector named Rob Muka that he felt that I had a very, I guess you'd say, a very rare type of ball glove. And so I hung on to that ball glove for 10 years. I did not trade it off, did not sell it, just wanted to keep it as part of my collection. As time went on, I realized that my collection was not nearly as progressive as some of the other collectors in the hobby. And I went back to my first person, that was Rob, and asked him if he wanted to do a trade. So we did what he described as a mega trade, and I ended up with about 14 or 15 of his high-end evolutionary ball gloves for this one ball glove. Well, that gave me a kickstart into the hobby and the evolution of all the different ball gloves, and so from that point it just kind of took off.
As Dave's collection grew, so did his knowledge of the evolution of gloves. It all began with no glove, just a player's hand. Next, an unpadded glove was created, but was considered unmanly and wasn't widely accepted. It wasn't until a now famous name made the scene that the evolution of the glove truly took flight.
The next guy that really got, I guess you'd say, the ball glove to be acceptable within the community of the profession was A.G. Spalding. And you've heard of the guy, Spalding Chicago Sporting Goods. He put on a black leather glove. And because of his strong reputation that he had built as a pitcher, the fans and the players allowed that to happen. And everybody started apparently to realize, hey, the glove is not so bad after all. Your hand doesn't hurt after a game. It can protect you. It can offer ways of catching the ball better and more effectively. And that kind of kicked it into high gear with at least the acceptance of ball gloves.
Dave has put his extensive knowledge of the gloves to good use. He's written 3 books about the gloves and the history behind them so far.
I really feel like though some of these gloves, as I started learning in the hobby, I had no idea that they even existed. So I wanted to share the hobby. I was excited about it, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go ahead and try to take pictures of my ball gloves, and I was kind of getting encouragement from my fellow collectors from Texas and California, and I thought, I'm just going to try to write a book on this and share it with other people, so that's what I did. And I titled that first book that I wrote, A Fielder's Dream Glove Collection. And the reason being because it's all about fielder's gloves.
Dave has also written a second book called A Visual History of Ball Gloves, and now a third called Baseball Gloves Merge with America's Past, in which he includes photos of his gloves, along with a timeline of events, inventions, and discoveries encompassed with their history.
I want people to learn not only about the old historical ball gloves, but also about America's past, the culture, the American culture at the time these gloves were being made. I wanted people to learn about the inventions and discoveries that went on. Very inventive people, just like those inventors of the web designs, those creators of those gloves, they had in their mind something they wanted to try to improve a glove, to make it more efficient, to make it more effective. And there's all kinds of inventions, just like the lights and razors and all kinds of things that, you know, your television, your radio, all that stuff there was discoveries made. And so I just kind of summarized that briefly. I didn't want to go into great details, but I wanted to widen the audience. I want a 10-year-old boy or girl to be able to pick this book up and see the coolest ball gloves around that they've probably never seen, just like myself. It could be, you know, kind of a book of learning and a book of sharing family time. Rather than sit at computers all day long and play video games, to me it made sense. Let's get this book out to the public. So I'm hoping that will happen, that people will get involved and learn more about this cool hobby that I got involved in.
As evidenced by the writing of his books, Dave has a tremendous passion for his hobby, but he doesn't have any plans to make big changes to his collection anytime soon.
It is so unique. I think that people just are kind of taken back, and that they say, it looks like it really belongs in a museum. I really feel like it does belong in a museum, and I'm kind of hoarding up all the opportunity to look at it, but someday I might be open to that or something. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to have it here and just to be able to sit and look at the variations. And the thing that I could do is improve on my gloves that I do have, condition-wise. At some point I would need to make that decision. You know, if I want to actually sell a glove or trade a glove that was in my book, then I would do it to upgrade. That would be the basic reason I would shift.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out in the open ring.
Now, if you didn't get enough of America's favorite pastime in that last story, you might want to stick around for this one. Casey, Illinois has a long-rooted softball tradition in their community, and some of the residents decided they needed a way to commemorate those who had played. So what this story is all about is 2 museums in one.
Well, back in the early 70s, softball was going strong in Casey, and they had men, women, and children's teams, and they had been quite successful. And as time went on, won several championships and had quite a following. And we thought that it had come time that we do something to commemorate what they had done. So Mo Ashley, who is now deceased, Leroy Staley, and I formed a committee to build a museum. And so we built the original Casey Softball Hall of Honor and opened it on July the 3rd of 1976.
Each year, a local committee would then, and still does, induct up to 5 people from the submitted nominations that have somehow contributed to the success of the softball programs in Casey.
They were ball players, umpires, news media, various commissioners, and various other people who helped. And to date, we have over 110 in the original part.
Special emphasis on original here. The Hall of Honor underwent an expansion several years ago and now houses 3 separate spaces dedicated solely to softball.
About 3 or 4 years ago, the city of Casey allocated $1,500, and we started refurbishing the original building. And as things went on, we decided to build another wing for the Casey Westfield Warriors High School girls, and then we went after the Illinois ASA Hall of Fame, and it was awarded to us last year. So now we have, you might say, 3 museums in one, and it's been quite successful.
The ASA, or Amateur Softball Association, is the largest amateur sports body in the nation, and its Illinois Hall of Fame makes its home in Casey.
They have their way of selecting members for their Hall of Fame, which is here. And each year they select approximately 6 people, 7 people. Plus now they also select teams and organizations as well. And they're all listed here. And if you want to see the accomplishments, why, you can travel to Casey, Illinois, and there you are.
The softball tradition in Casey stretches back to the 1930s, where it all began with one man.
Casey, in around 1935, a gentleman by the name of Ted Anderson, he was really hooked on softball. He wanted a lighted field, and so, of course, at that time there wouldn't be enough money to go around to do it through the city. He did it on his own. We had lights before the major leagues had their lights.
Casey continued to take softball very seriously and developed several successful teams over the years, including the Bombers and the Truckers.
The Truckers were in existence for almost 20 years, and I played about 15 of those. And it was a team that was very homegrown, local players, and we started having success in the mid to late 60s, and then we became more of a traveling team throughout the 70s. One of the reasons we did that is because if you're willing to go play some of the best teams at their locations, then they might be willing to come here. Probably the most special time for the Truckers as an organization was from 74 through 80, because we hosted a national tournament at that time, and it was a big draw for softball fans from the entire East Central Illinois. It was sort of a culmination of a lot of people's efforts to make softball a big deal. And then, as far as I'm concerned, that was sort of the springboard for future successes, because as was mentioned earlier, you know, the girls' programs have done very well. Well, a lot of those girls were daughters of former players and coached by former players. So that's just sort of kept the tradition going.
Those daughters of former Bombers, Truckers, and other softball team players have continued to keep the tradition alive in Casey and have several titles and even their own room in the museum.
Our high school team has won 7 state championships, and our junior high has won 7 state championships. And our high school program has more records in the state of Illinois than any other team anywhere. And it's an accomplishment that'll probably never be equaled. And it started back in 1984 when the state started having girls softball. And in 1986, we won our first state championship. I tell everybody, I said, we didn't have any more talent than anybody else. We just worked harder at it. And a lot of people laugh when they hear that, but it's basically true.
The successes of those teams, as well as many others, are documented throughout the museum with memorabilia, documents, and all things softball. And the guys say that there's something here for everyone.
Many people come here that aren't necessarily interested in softball, and they find it fascinating to see so much memorabilia, and it's, I think, colorful, and people are fascinated that Casey can support something of this nature.
You go anywhere in this state and basically a lot of other states, and you talk about Casey, they know what you're talking about because they know Casey means softball. And that's just the way it turns out with your reputation precedes you in a lot of cases, because they know when you hear the word Casey that means softball.
Well, this final story clearly is all around us. As we told you earlier in the show, we're here at the Shell Oil Museum near Windsor, Illinois.
Now, this collection is Greg Harris's, and we met Greg at an event a couple years ago that we were hosting. He told us all about his collection, so we decided we had to come out and check it out.
Just driving down the lane to Greg Harris's house, which doubles as sort of a museum, it's easy to see the passion he has for collecting.
Well, I got this all second nature. I grew up in this business. My dad, he worked in the gas business all his life, and so anytime he wanted to babysit me, I went to the gas station, spent the day running around the wash bay and the shop. I'd take a lawnmower motor in there and I'd tear it down just to pass the time, and you've seen a lot of people and did a lot of stuff in there, and so I grew up with a shop towel in my back pocket. And it all comes second nature to me, so we've used a lot of this stuff over the years.
And years are what it has taken Greg to build the extensive Shell Oil collection he has now.
I went into the service in '74, and when I was in there, I got a part-time job naturally at a gas station after work. Well, I'd go downtown, go to work, and I decided I wanted to collect a gas sign from all the companies I could find. Well, my start out was doing pretty good, but the one I really wanted was Shell, and I could never get a Shell sign. That was the hardest one for me to get. It was a long time before I ever got one, but we started collecting, finally got one, and we'd collect this and that, and it ended up being, collect everything from matchbooks to, you see it, here. And our plans are to restore an old gas station that I dismantled a few years ago, and it was an actual Shell station. It was a 1929 Shell station, and when I get it done, well, I'm gonna put my period stuff into it and have fun with that.
Greg and his wife Connie have a lot of fun picking up pieces for the collection off the internet and at swap meets across the country. But the story of their collection hasn't always been such a happy one.
This building came to be out of kind of a heartbreak. I had another building and it burnt. It was full of this stuff. And I had a antique shop on the side that I had the other extra stuff in, like this. So overnight, that became my only stuff. So I kind of had a jump start on restarting my collection, but I don't have near all the stuff that I did lose in it. But we've got a good start on it. The prices have went up naturally, and stuff's getting harder to find, and got more collectors out there. But that's good too, because it gives you more people to trade with.
The people are one of the things Greg says he likes best about collecting. He also enjoys the sense of nostalgia of a simpler time where service with a smile was the norm.
It's a walk back in time to what I call simpler times. It's a stress relief. I can come out here, I can have a bad day, and I can walk out here and all the cares and worries in the world just evaporate. And you just walk through here and dream about what you're going to do and how you're going to display this, or what you're going to trade this for, or what you're going to buy and look for. And so it's a therapy for me.
Greg's collection features a little of everything, from oil cans to posters, gas pumps, and everything in between. He's managed to track down just about any American shell product out there. But just like every collector, he does play favorites.
I've got this globe over here that I just acquired. That's a real early shell globe. First shell globe that they ever had in the Midwest division. I've got a toilet paper holder. Believe this or not, a toilet paper roll holder that came out of the Wood River Refinery. I have it in use in my bathroom. It's bronze, it has shell across the background of it. And now there's no pun intended on this, but it came from the crack house at the refinery. The cracking unit is what that was referred to. There was only 2 of those known to exist. The museum at Wood River has one, and I traded dearly for the other one.
And also, like every collector, Greg has that one item he has yet to track down.
There's a sign that I'd really like to have. They're kind of scarce. It's an airport sign. It's got the wings with the shell on them in the middle, and they made them in porcelain and wood. And I'd really like to have a porcelain one, but when I get one of those, it'll go on the outside of my shop. And there's others, but that's probably at the top of the list I'd like to have someday.
And if you think shell was only in the oil business, a second look around Greg's collection may convince you otherwise.
Oh, they made household products, and like I said, the chemical division, they had farm products they offered, and they just, like I said, reached out there and they were leaders in the field of octane during the war. They was the first ones to come out with 100 octane for the airplanes, for the war effort and everything. But yeah, they had lots of miscellaneous product cans and bottles and items that they offered.
Several other unique shell items include a salve for horses and snowmobile oil. Something else unique about Greg's collection has been the support he's received from his wife, Connie.
She's a special woman, because there's not just any woman that would let you go to the extent of collecting like she has. She likes it. She's a good sport, and she got to see too what some of the stuff's worth, so that helped too. So this is an investment, and I don't know. I tell her I'll never sell it. She can have at it someday if she wants to, but I'll take it to the grave with me.
Thanks for joining us this week on Heartland Highways. If you want more information about any of the stories you've seen on our show, just visit our website at weiu.net/HH.
And don't forget, you can send your story ideas to us at heartlandhighways@weiu.net.
Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Sarah Bush Lincoln Health System, dedicated to providing care for all and creating healthy communities in East Central Illinois, offering general and specialty medicine, including a regional cancer center, heart and lung center, orthopedics and sports medicine, a center for interventional pain, and a full complement of diagnostic and rehabilitative services. Sarah Bush Lincoln, trusted, compassionate care.
Don't forget, you can always email your story ideas to our email address. Email.
You might want to stick around for this one. Casey, Illinois has a...
Okay. Thank you, Kate.
And then you can push it behind there. If you need to flip it, you can push it side there.
TV is hard!
TV is hard!